Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426 and today we have the review of the newly released 30-minute mission kit, the Spinatio Night Type. Now this technically released yesterday and it was a long line for me to get into Gundam base because not only it was the release date for this guy, there were multiple kits releasing in Korea and this basically caused a lot of people to go there as well. So I was in line for like roughly 1 hour or 90 minutes. So yeah. Anyway, so let's see what we got. Now, because this is still based on the Spinatio unit, the third faction, the main base frame is exactly the same build, articulation is the same, the structure is the same. I'm showing this part because I wanted to show you guys the main color of the main base frame, because unlike the previous units, for those who aren't familiar with the previous series, is that when it comes to 30-minute missions, originally there were two factions and then their main units were the Alto and the Puro Novas. So what Bandai did is that they released a bunch of color variants. So originally they would release a white one and then they would release in multiple colors as well as single units. And then they would also release other variants in multiple colors, but not as many as the original. But now for the third faction, there is no such thing. Every time a new variant comes out, or a new armor frame comes out, they use a new color variant of the main frame as well. So there's no way to just purchase this unit separately. Just wanted to point that out. Alright, so I'm going to be skipping articulation on the main frame, but I will be showing some articulation on the with the armor on. But for now, let's see what we get. So first of all, let's look at the armors. Because this is a 30-minute mission kit, there aren't many leftover pieces out there. So we're just gonna skip that part. But I believe when it comes to leftover pieces, I believe the only thing that is technically a leftovers are 3 pieces, and two of those are actually just the ball joint. We've seen these before. 2 of them are ball joints, and this one we've seen this before from the original samurai unit. You could actually use the katana on this one, but in this case I believe the sword won't go all the way in because the sword actually has a bit of engraving and there's these specific lines going on here. Yeah, so it can only go that far. So yeah, you won't be using it this time. Alright, so I'm pretty sure for those who bought this or are willing to buy this are kind of curious about the armor parts. So let's see what we got for starters. Okay, so let's start with from the bottom to the top. So number one, not exactly the most bottom, but here we have the side skirts going on here. So we actually get some side skirts armor going on here. Of course, the connection point is a little bit awkward, but still it works pretty well and a bit longer than I expected. So yeah, that was technically the only part that I thought, isn't that a little bit too long kind of thing regarding the armor. The rest, they look amazing. So that was the side skirts. Here we have the leg armor. These goes on to the lower leg. So there's no side armor if I remember correctly, because those side skirts also technically cover up the sides. Here we have the back, the back waist armor going on here. So basically around the butt area. So that's that. And here we have the front skirt area. So once again, it's kind of interesting to see they just use these small, simple joints here, small ball joints going on here. So you can actually utilize the movement going on here. Of course, they do fall off easily once they're not connected like that. So do be careful. And here we have the arm units, a little bit bulky, but still they look really nice going on there. And let's see. So one of these, so this one with the hole is the back. The back one, this one is the chest armor. So they did a pretty good job, especially with the they have all these like details and engravings going on. So I thought that was a nice little touch. And if not obvious, these are the shoulder armor. Nothing too special going on here, although we do get some of these extra attaching points. So if you want to go even beyond the basic armor, you can do that. And we have the okay, let's just go with this one. So we have the face plate. So this is pretty cool. So this is the open up mode. You can also push this down. It's more of a slide gimmick rather than like a swivel gimmick, or it's not like you can just fold up and down like that. It's more of you have to push it down like that. So you can actually cover up the entire small eye section like this, or you can kind of open it up to reveal the eyes more easily. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch. And we have the head fin. The way the head fin goes on is that you have this peg, there's a hole on the back, so you connect it like that. So make sure you make it, you balance it to the middle. Alright, other than that, here we have the rest of the equipment. So number one, we get the shield. This looks absolutely amazing. I really like Knight design mechs, and this is just, they aced it. Now the shield looks absolutely nice, but of course there's only one issue I'm having, is that, so technically if you want to use it more like a gunpla unit, so you can use this peg to connect it to the arm, or if you want to go more, in a different way, you can attach this handle here and use the handle. But because of the handle position here, yeah, this may feel a little bit awkward, but the good thing is that what you can also do is you can plug this, because on the handle side there is a hole there. What you can do is you can actually slide in the sword like that, and that looks absolutely cool. And you could technically pull out a few cool pulls. But once again, if you decide to use just a peg here, there's no way to actually connect the sword here, because I mean there are technically, you have all these holes and this peg here, but once again that's gonna be colliding with the peg connection, so you're gonna have to like do something like this, but that's not gonna look right. So just wanted to point that out. And of course it could be my error, but once again I think it could be something I did wrong on the process, but my sword came a little bit bent. All right, other than that, we get this, we get the typical open style hand right over here. So we get a set of open style hands, but one set of hand guards, so you're gonna have to swap out the hand guards, and we get the angled grip going on here. So once again, you need to swap out the hand guards. And finally, we get these parts. For those who don't know yet, for the Spinatio unit, before you actually apply the armor, you can see there's no gap between the main body and the shoulder joint here. So you actually have to swap with the longer one so you can clip on the shoulder armors. All right, so we've seen the basics. I'll be right back with the knight armor applied. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the knight armor applied, and I absolutely love the color scheme going on here and the overall looks going on here. So once again, the only part, if I had to like point out that doesn't look right, or just, you know, just based on personal preference, is that once again, I think the feet are a little bit on the too small side, but once again, that's fine. And I think the side skirts do seem a little bit too big, but once again, depending on how you look at it, it looks fine, or depending on what angle you look at it, it may seem a little bit bulky. And yeah. Alright, so let me just take off the weapons to give you guys a better look. So once again, we have all the armors applied up, definitely looking very nice going on here. Now, despite this, the only part that I would say the articulating has been slightly hindered would be the leg area, because the arms, obviously, they're still the same, you know, location. Nothing's really blocking the joints here, so you can still go all the way around if you want to do so. Now the legs are kind of tricky to move, so once again, because we have the front skirts as well, and then the side skirts are pretty much blocking the side because they're also working as side armor. So once again, you're gonna have to like lift it up going on here, then you can reveal the legs, and it would still move the same because that's the only part that's blocking it. So just keep that in mind. All right, so once again, for the head armor, give me a moment. The balance is a little bit off. So once again, the head sculpt looks absolutely amazing. It definitely looks like a knight sculpt going on here. I can imagine multiple people buying multiple of these, so they can have like a whole army of knights, or making like the concept of like Knights of the Round Table or something like that. So once again, you can push down the helmet a little bit so that you can have the all eyes covered up, or if you still want to have the eyes out, you can do this. So once again, they did a pretty good job regarding that as well. So I think that the only demonstration I need to, or something I need to mention, would be the weapons. So number one, the sword holds in pretty well into the hand. There's no issue here if you ask me, other than the fact that the sword is slightly bent. So once again, if you have a hairdryer, it's going to be useful to fix that. Now the only part that I'm having trouble with is mostly the shield. Now, because the way how the manual tells you to hold it is because you would think it would be like this, right? But because of where the handle is and because of the length of the shield, holding it like this would not make any sense. So what they do is they flip it out, and then they tell you to hold it like that. So yeah, a little bit odd, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. But once again, I've never actually seen or hold a real, you know, medieval shield that looks like this, so I'm not sure if this is correct or not. But yeah, but once again, with a little bit of imaginations, you can also plug the sword inside and you can do the pose where he's trying to pull out the sword from his shield. So you can always do that pose as well. Or once again, if you don't mind, you can take out the handle entirely, and you can plug it into the hole right over here if you want to do so. So it's really up to your preference. Another thing is that what they did really nice is on the back, you can actually attach the shield onto the back. That's also a big nice touch, but to even top it off, what they did is that you might have noticed there is a hole, you might have noticed that, okay, you might have noticed there is a peg here. So what you can do is you can connect, on the other side there's a hole, you can connect the shield to the sword like this, and then you can connect it like that. And there you go. You have both the shield and the sword onto the back as well. So I think that is a really, really nice touch going on here. I mean, there are multiple ways to utilize this, but once again, I thought this was definitely a really nice touch going on here. So you can, you know. So once again, having night mechs in general is very uncommon these days. But once again, I think Bandai did a really nice job with their 30-minute mission kits, and the fact that 30-minute mission kits are highly customizable and they're pretty. Their price point is very nice and cheap. So I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one, especially, yeah. And that is pretty much it for the review. So once again, let me just check the manual just in case if I did that correctly. But once again, I think they did an excellent job regarding this design here. Of course, just be careful when you're, I think it could be what I did wrong was when I was cutting the sword off from the plot plate, maybe I gave it too much pressure. But other than that, when you're getting the sword out, just be careful. Other than that, this is an excellent, this is an excellent design from the 30-minute mission kits. I wouldn't mind buying multiple of these at this point. Anyway, thanks for watching the review. This was a review of the new release 30-minute mission, the Spinatio Night type. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.